Hey guys, and welcome to Ian's Top 5 with me, your host, obviously Ian. On this show, I'll be discussing my topics on the superhero genre. Starting off this week, I'll be discussing my favourite top 5 fight sequences. However, before we start off the countdown, I have one honourable mention to talk about, that being Captain America Winter Soldier. Despite not being on the countdown list itself, it is without a doubt my favourite film within the Marvel Cinematic Universe. The fight between Bucky Barnes, aka the Winter Soldier, and Captain America occurs after the highway chase scene. This movie style-esque of the movie and also the intense fighting choreography made this film a must-watch for me, in my personal opinion, as Captain America finally found an opponent in both equaling his strength and skill. However, let's not waste any time and move on to number 5. So you guys are probably wondering why did I choose Blade 2? It's mainly because it's just like a nostalgia sense for me, because I rewatched the film not too long ago, as I watched it when I was a little bit younger, but at an age which I shouldn't be watching it at, as the film was apparently 18. So yeah, let's not talk about that. So as you can see in the film, we have Wesley Snipes, which in my opinion was a great actor to portray the Blade, as the Daywalker hunting his own kind within the film. It's not until Blade meets his match with Nomak, a genetic subspecies of vampires called the Reapers. The fight takes place within a secret vampire headquarters located within the Czech Republic, where Nomak and Blade duke it out for the very last time. Even though Nomak had the upper hand throughout the entirety of the fight, due to his enhanced speed, strength and intelligence, it made him a worthy opponent. Blade, however, finally defeats him by penetrating a vulnerable part of his heart, thus turning him into ash, and finally defeating Nomak. However, let's not waste any time and move on to number 4. Coming in at number 4, we have Spider-Man 2, particularly in the fight between Spider-Man and Doc Ock as they duke it around various locations within New York City. The reason why I enjoy this fight is due to the fact that the Mad Doc Octopus challenges Spidey at the very start on a vertical side of the clock tower at the start, as they threw clock hands at each other and rubble. It was very messy, to say the least. The fight even begins to escalate as it spanned from the clock tower onto a moving high-speed train. And what's even crazier, it's even happening on the side of the train as well. But unfortunately, the fight ends unclimactically as Doc Ock gets away. Thus, Spider-Man has to stop the train before it could crash at the end of the rail line. However, let's move on to number 3. At number 3, we have Avengers: The Age of Ultron. The fight, which was by far my favourite fight throughout the whole film, was the fight between Tony Stark's Hulkbuster suit versus the Hulk himself. At the start, obviously, you know, Tony and the Hulk are friends in the Avengers. So at first he tried to restrain him, try not to make any physical harm on him whatsoever. However, that was to no avail, as the Hulk could not be subdued. However, Tony had to rely on his new AI, Veronica, as he had to test out his new wildcard, the Hulkbuster suit. Throughout the whole fight, we see Stark and Hulk fighting throughout the whole city of Wakanda, as they even used vehicles, lampposts and any other environmental objects around them as weapons to their disposal. Stark eventually had to stop the Hulk's rampaging spree, so he just drove him down a construction site building, smashing him throughout all the layers of the construction site, and let's just say it looked very painful. Thus, he eventually snapped the Hulk out of his hypnotic state from the Scarlet Witch, and that concludes number 3. At number 2, we have Man of Steel. Like the previous fight between the Hulkbuster and the Hulk, this took place in a city as well. However, this was Metropolis instead. As viewers can see throughout the fight sequence, we see full-blown destruction throughout Metropolis, as both Kryptonians beat each other throughout the entire city, yet none of them was able to sustain any physical damage. These godlike beings were amazing, as we see both Zod and Superman destroying cars, streets and buildings like they were just playthings. Superman eventually had to decide at the pivotal moment whether to kill Zod, the last of his kind, or let him enslave the entirety of the human race. Superman decides to end Zod's life by snapping his neck. Thus, Superman is left in distraught for killing the last of his own kind, and let's just say it was emotional. It was really emotional, but an amazing fight nonetheless. Now, finally, for the number one place we've all been waiting for, Batman: The Dark Knight Rises. Most notably, the fight in the sewers between Batman and Bane. By far my favourite superhero fight in film of all time because of the realistic portrayal of Batman and also the realistic portrayal of Bane as well. We see Bane taunting Batman as he has been out of commission for many years as Batman, whereas Bane has been training for this moment his entire life. With no music playing in the background, we get a sense of intensity within the scene, as the key aspect of the fight was that so we could hear every little thing within the scene, as the music could have been a hindrance, as we could hear every punch and every bone breaking. By breaking Batman's back at the end of the fight, it showed Bane's superiority of not only his strength but also his skill in combat and his intelligence, as it looked like it took no effort to defeat Batman whatsoever, despite Batman using every technique, every gadget at his disposal. And that's it for number one. So that was my top 5 fight sequences within film. Catch me next week as I'll be giving you your next daily dose of Ian's top 5. But before we go, make sure to check out check out our social media in the layer down below. So yeah, if you can check us out there, you'll get the latest news from both Hero Fix, also stuff from Comic-Con and many other things. So I'll see you later guys, catch you next week.